Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this brokerage event organized by NCP Formation Project together with the European Commission on EU missions and cross-cutting calls for proposal, where we gather to explore the exciting opportunities presented by 5 ambitious EU missions: adaptation to climate change, cancer, restore our oceans and waters by 2030, 100 climate neutral and smart cities by 2030, and a soil deal for Europe. I'm Erika Jankajová, your moderator for today's plenary sessions. It's an honor to stand before you today during your journey of searching collaboration and offering your excellent ideas, solutions, and innovations during the process of creating consortium with aim to deal with these 5 huge challenges facing our society. The European Union missions represent a visionary approach to focus as many as possible different actors which aim to supervising the solutions. The missions itself represent a portfolio of interdisciplinary activities and projects. It aims to achieve an ambitious, inspiring, and measurable goal with a set time frame that has, and it's crucial to mention that the missions, activities, and projects have a concentrate and tangible impact on society and policy making. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. In a moment, you will learn more about these topics from our great speakers. Today, all of us, members of NCP's For Missions project, would like to encourage you to embrace the spirit of collaboration, to think boldly, and to act decisively. Together, we possess the ingenuity, the passion, and the determination to turn this mission into success stories that will shape the future of our world. Therefore, I would like to extend my sincerest gratitude to all of our speakers, participants, partners, and stakeholders for being with us today and for your unwavering commitment to this shared endeavor. Let us seize this moment as an opportunity to inspire, to innovate, and to make a difference. Before I give the floor to our speakers, I would like to provide some important organization information for today's event. Firstly, please ensure that you are familiar with your agenda for the day, because after the plenary session are bilateral meetings organized. Secondly, according to the nature of our online format, it's important to mention the direct interaction with our speakers and questions are limited. However, the plenary session will be recorded and available on the website after the event. Furthermore, all presentation and relevant materials will be made available to you following the event. And now, to beginning on our event, it's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Rolf Stratmann. And today, Mr. Stratmann will present the NCP's Formation project, a critical initiative designed to support and enhance the implementation of the EU missions. This project plays a pivotal role in fostering collaboration, providing guidance, and driving the success of this ambitious endeavor. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Rolf Stratmann to share his insight and the latest development on the NCP's For Mission project. Mr. Stratmann, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Erika, for the warm welcome. And also from my side, a warm welcome to all the participants in our brokerage event today, and of course to the speakers as well. And I'm one of the members of the coordination team who is coordinating this project. And so in short, it's NCP for Missions, and I will very briefly introduce this project to you now in frame of this first brokerage event we implement. So the NCP for Missions project, as you can see, was a is a coordination and support action, and we started our work last September, and our duration, the runtime, is 54 months, so 4.5 years, and to support the applicants and also, of course, the NCPs with the implications the 5 European missions cover. And so in total we are in countries in this project, and the overarching goals are listed here on this slide. So to summarize it, the project provides continuous capacity building measures for the national contact points. For example, we provide e-learnings, deep dives into certain topics, share meetings to discuss within the NCP community issues there might be and best practice examples. And of course, we also give mission updates. And the focus is also to support less experienced NCPs and provide more consistent mission NCP services to applicants. And adding to this, brokerage events like today, workshops and digital tools also offered to potential mission applicants. The project will establish important collaborations with all relevant mission stakeholders, for example, mission hubs, mission implementation platforms, other NCP networks, for example, like the GreenNet for the Cluster 4 or the Care for Bar project for the Cluster 6, but also other missions, not other missions, but projects like the Premiere project and other also national contact points, for example, for the social science and humanities, which will also present later on during this plenary session. The project activities pursue the following objectives: improving and professionalizing NCP support services for the European mission calls, lowering the entry barriers for applicants and raising the quality of proposals. At least that's one of the aims, and enhancing the visibility of mission NCPs and the cooperation with other relevant stakeholder networks. And this is summarized on this slide very briefly. And on this slide, you have an overview of what we plan to support you. On the left upper side, you can see the support we plan to provide for the national contact points. On the upper right side, you see the support we plan to provide for the applicants. So, for example, bridge events, but also workshop for applicants, which we'll address in a minute in more detail, and also the tools and instruments. And on the lower side, you can see that we plan to cooperate with the Horizon Europe NCP networks, also provide information on European policies and funding programs, mapping of mission-related stakeholders, but also have interaction with, for example, mission hubs there might be for the different missions. On the upper left side, to briefly list it, so that's a program for competence building we will provide for the NCPs. Regular EU mission updates, e-learning nuggets, those are focused for the national contact points, not for the applicants. However, some of these might also be available through our website for applicants. The meet and share sessions and the mission deep dives. And then to further to the actual events, the brokerage event, they are planned to be back-to-back if we can manage with the European INFODAYS, which have now been held the end of last month. But for the future upcoming work programs, when they are published, we aim to make them back-to-back so that it's more or less directly after the INFODAYS. Furthermore, we have the workshop for applicants. So we have two formats planned there. For example, the synergies workshop between different Horizon Europe parts. These synergies workshops, before they are implemented, there will be desk analysis of the missions and also cluster work programs to highlight the relations and integration on the same problems in the different parts of Horizon Europe. The results of these desk analyses will be presented to and discussed with participants during synergies workshops in order to provide an overall picture of the EC efforts on a specific mission area and to promote a broader participation of the participants to all the potential opportunities the missions provide. And then we have the exchange workshops planned, and through identification and selection of projects to be used as best example of activities in the mission areas, will be performed also from the mission work programs, but also we have a look at the cluster work programs to identify potential best practice projects. And during such identification, these best practices will be described and presented in order to be discussed during these exchange workshops. And furthermore, we will provide tools and instruments which aims to be user-friendly information on the missions for the applicants, which then can be utilized to draft applicants for the calls for proposals, applications. And these tools or this task where the tools and instruments are developed aims to provide user-friendly information on the mission to deepen the understanding of the mission actions, and the insights and experiences of national contact points gathered during the advisory work will form the base of an analysis of the most common challenges experienced by the applicants in the specific context of the missions. For example, this could be aimed at experience with citizen engagement, and the most significant issues will be assessed in a qualitative experience analysis. And this analysis is a living document over our whole project duration. And the initial version of this experience analysis is planned to be published on our website August this year. And it will be adapted on a regular basis and serve both applicants and also NCPs as a source of information on the challenges specific to the missions in the application process. Furthermore, we provide or plan to provide an FAQ, a question and answer document, based on the European Commission answers to NCPs, but also applicant queries and official documents, as well as input from the NCP network we will receive. And also during discussions in workshops and other formats and the different trainings we will provide for the NCPs. This FAQ document will be updated on a regular basis on our public project website. And at the end of the project, we will also publish a report on this. Furthermore, fact sheets on the mission status, activities on social engagement are planned. And you can see here the link to our project website where most of this information will be available. We also have a LinkedIn page, a Facebook, and a Twitter an X channel. And of course, the information will be available later on our website, and the links are directly utilizable through the PDF of the presentation. And that's all from my side for now. You can contact us through this functional email if you have questions on the project itself, but also, of course, directly to some of our staff. So thanks a lot. I wish you all a fruitful further brokerage event today and also bilateral meetings. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Stratman, for presentation of the NCP mission project that organized today's brokerage event. And now the topic that follow are mission synergies. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure. So thank you again, Mr. Stratman. And now it's time to invite another speaker. And the topic that follow are mission synergies. So ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome and introduce you our next speakers, Marion Yamart from the European Commission. She brings a wealth of experience and insight from extensive work within commissions. And today she will present a topic that interests all of us, mission synergies. So her expertise will provide us with deeper understanding of how we can use these synergies to advance our collective goals. Mrs. Jamar, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Erika. Yes, good morning, everyone. I'm Marion Jamar. I work at the European Commission in the unit of Common and Missions and Partnership Services. So that means that we are the unit that does the horizontal coordination of those two instruments. So not specific on the thematic, like the mission secretariats who are specifically dedicated to each one of the missions, but any horizontal policy matters and development. So that includes the synergies when it comes to their design. So I will let you develop a little bit more on how these synergies have been designed in the context of the missions. And then I think for further information, it will be closer to the thematic themselves in order to have these specific channels that have been built for each of these missions. Voilà. So I thought I usually like to kind of like zoom out to recall the concept of the missions, because of course their concept is closely interlinked to synergies. And so I like to kind of remind what mission-oriented policy is and how it is about setting a specific, ambitious, targeted, and time-bound goal in order to direct all variety of effort, which will be given towards a single, or which will be directed towards a single challenge, and that this challenge is itemized as a mission in order to then follow in considerable spillovers. So the mission is an engine of change. It's like a framework. I like more the word framework than instruments. This framework is meant to convene, pool, and orchestrate different efforts towards that single challenge. But these efforts go across sectors, across fields, towards a shared purpose. And here you already have a kind of a clue towards which, hinting towards synergies. And this mission, or these missions, are meant to provide, to create a system transformation, a societal transition, or at least to initiate it, in order to, like, by putting together or structuring and putting into action an ecosystem of actors and portfolios of action orchestrated towards that goal. Why missions then? Don't we already do a lot of these things to achieve such impact? Well, missions are a way to are a different way to generate such impacts. They're a different approach, and I usually like, and actually, sorry, I will go back to this slide because I usually like to kind of explain how they're a different approach. I like the metaphor of a prism, hence the picture at the bottom, because with this like very targeted objective, we aim to have spillovers and a transition that is broader, of course, than the very specific and targeted challenge itself. So it is a different approach to generate impact. It also aims at bringing Europe closer to citizens, closer to people, not only because the matters that are tackled by the missions are matter to the citizens, but also because the missions aim at engaging them in their actions. They were engaged in the design of each of the missions, but also they will be engaged, and they are and will be further engaged in their implementation. And of course, because we need missions, because they're a way, like one of the different initiatives that are in the toolbox of Europe to deal with its priorities, the Cancer Action Plan, the future, the Green Deal, etc. I don't think I need to present you again the 5 missions, but this is their overview: climate, adaptation, cities, cancer, soil, and ocean and waters. So how do these missions operate? They deliver impact through aligning priorities between the different programs and the different geographical, like programs that in terms of sector, but also in terms of geographical level. They are an all-in approach. This is what I mentioned earlier, that they gather a lot of different efforts towards one single challenge. They promote a new relationship with citizens. This is the citizens engagement a dimension that I also mentioned. They link programs and build synergies. And we'll get back to that one, of course. And of course, also they maintain flexibility, not only because there is not a one-size-fits-all among the 5 missions, but also because it is an experimental and a reflective learning approach, because as those are complex transitions, we need to learn as we go and feedback in order to change path or adjust where needed. Missions and synergies. So what are the links between them? So first of all, I like to kind of define what synergies are. What synergies are is when the results from the combination of the funding streams and instruments is greater than the sum of the parts. And here I like to stress on the word instruments and not just funding streams, because I think sometimes we tend to be a little bit too narrow in the definition of synergies, that is all about only different funding streams that are accumulated or that are complementary, but also it can be different instruments that are used in combination. And I will dig further into that a bit later. And missions, the link with the missions is, do we need, and I think that it is a little bit of a chicken and egg thing here, do we use missions as a means to create synergies, or are synergies a way to enable the missions? And I think here it's most likely both of them. I like this quote for Mariana Mazzucato, which says that missions are not only objectives, but frameworks. And this is something that I also mentioned earlier in my slides. They allow these frameworks to design, to implement, and to govern different objectives towards having this goal in mind. And she highlights the mutualistic relationship. And here as well, that brings a strong hint towards these synergies that we will talk about. Synergies, what for? I think it's important not to do synergies for their own sake. Synergies aim at achieving something beyond them. They're not there for just being there. First of all, they're important for the missions because missions go beyond R&I. So this is a way to bridge beyond the framework program towards other programs, towards deployment, towards deployment of these solutions and diffusion. Bridging across disciplines, of course, because the challenges that are tackled by the missions are very complex, and there is no single stream of action or single sector that can work alone and achieve their objectives. So it's very important to bridge across these different disciplines which are complementary and interact together in order to work towards that goal, connecting different actors. So again, we go beyond our traditional stakeholders, researchers and innovators, but we broaden a little bit the community via the mission. And finally, linking the bottom up and the top down. So we have policymakers of different geographical levels, but also there is a bottom up aspect to the missions that fosters idea creation. So this is where we link the two, and also synergies are important there. There are different types of synergies, and here is a little topology that comes from a document from the European Commission last year. Cumulative synergies, so it's about funding when different funding streams are bridged together. Successive synergies when the projects that are built build on each other's resources, each other's results. So the outcome of one project is going to be picked up by another project. Concurrent synergies is when the different projects or initiatives are complementary to each other and combine, for example, their outputs in order to create a solution, for instance. Strategic synergies are the alignment of policy objectives. So this is the alignment of different programs, different goals in order to enhance the synergies, rules and requirements, so that creates a synergy favorable context. And finally, operational synergies, which are interaction regarding concrete ways to implement collaboration. So they're not just financial, but not financial as well. And here I like to kind of be a little bit more specific when it comes to, okay, this is a topology that's very interesting, but what does it mean in practice? In practice, synergies can materialize or be operationalized in various ways. So for example, synchronizing the criteria for proposal evaluations this way. We mentioned, this like synergy favorable, synergy-friendly context or framework, standardizing project reporting, dissemination and visibility of results in order to increase the potential uptake of these results by other projects. Aligning national EU level, this is where what we're working towards with the member states governments. Clear guidelines and toolkits and centralized information bases, diminishing the administrative burden and resource intensity in applying to different types of funds, avoiding the duplicity or overlap in different actions, while also allowing them to kind of bridge gaps between the programs, and finally strengthening the institutional. Sorry, I have the institutionalization and action of and institutionalizing, the mechanisms and actions to ensure coherence, so that it is not only ad hoc, but it is quite systematic. And I think here where we're at today, the NCP action are quite a great also example of another way of a very important tool to enable these synergies. Missions and synergies, how? So this is a little bit where I get in the meat. I hope I'm not going to be too long, where I get in the meat of the presentation, and again, I'm talking about these synergies in a horizontal policy manner, and I trust that the thematic discussions will get into more the nitty-gritty for each thematic of how so these specific synergies are tackled. But I will talk about 5 different ways that missions enable these synergies. So first of all, the governance, horizontal and vertical. I'll get to the explanation what it is. The mission implementation platforms, traditional actors adopting new roles or encouraged to do so in any case, other instruments within Horizon Europe. So my example would be European partnerships, and finally bridging towards other funding programs. So this is the overview of the very complex governance of missions in Horizon Europe, but it's a little bit kind of a picture that tends to, or there is a lot of internal things to the Commission, but I would draw your eyes to the effort that is made to kind of bring together policymakers across different sectors, and also to link the European level, the national level, and the local level together, because all these levels are key, and their involvement is key to the implementation of mission, because there is the direction setting, but there is also project implementation. And some of these, and these actually all five of these missions are very much anchored as well at the local level. So it's very important that all these levels discuss together. This is what we call vertical governance, so linking all the different geographical levels together. It is very important that they talk together and they orchestrate action together. And the horizontal governance is the governance that links together the different thematics. So, for instance, to let you know a little bit with what's going on within the Commission, we have a group that gathers all the different DGs that are relevant for the creation, for the achievement of a mission, and they discuss together the alignment of their programs towards the achievement of this goal. So this is the definition I just mentioned about the two different dimensions of governance, horizontal and vertical. And now let me tell you a little bit more about the implementation platforms. The implementation platforms are a one-stop shop for each of the mission that allow them to coordinate, to gather, to coordinate the action, to gather all the different actors, and to keep track of the relevant activities. So you have, and I trust you will have these slides afterwards, a link to each of these implementation platforms, which I strongly encourage you to have a look at. For the Cancer mission, it is mission hubs. It's a little bit different, but voilà, this is their overview. And now I will provide you, because I cannot deep dive in each of them, but this is an overview of the different services that and support that all of them are providing. So one-stop shop, a charter to the signature of a charter in order to signal your commitment to emission monitoring. Some are doing a lot of, actually all of them are doing peer learning and twinning, showing other funding opportunities, newsletter, yearly forum and conference, most of them matchmaking, and different toolbox that are specific to their mission. So I strongly encourage you to have a look, because these are a key tool for the missions to create synergies within their community, within the people, but also within the different funding or activity opportunities or instruments in general. The role of universities. So I mentioned before that the missions are they're a new approach, and by being new, they cannot have this new approach with everyone doing the same as the usual. And one traditional actor that is universities is called to maybe take on a different role or an additional role in these missions. So they're, of course, very important for research and innovation, in the knowledge generation, capacity to drive innovation, creating expertise and talents. This is the traditional role that we know them as, of course, as well, training and education. So missions, in order to enable that transition, require, and the diffusion of these solutions also require that in the workforce a different set of skills, or certain skills are further developed. And this is where universities are key as well to foster these different skill sets and the increase of the workforce in certain areas, because they take care of knowledge transfer, talent development, and can adapt their curriculum according to the needs of society and its transition. And finally, what another role that we think is rather new but would be instrumental to the mission would be that universities are a catalyst of societal change. Universities are very strongly anchored at the local level. Everyone knows in their big city where the university is. They're also kind of so they're close to the community. They're also a great place for collaboration. We talked about synergies when it comes to cross-sector and cross-disciplines. All these disciplines are nested within one university, so the synergies can happen there, creating multidisciplinary teams, for example. And there is also, of course, a cultural influence in the sense that youngsters and the future workforce are there, and it is a great opportunity to both bring awareness but also their engagements in the missions. A little bit of a zoom in the work program and where universities are particularly mentioned, and notably with a different role. There is this cross-missions call that is an experimental action for universities, for EU mission, for knowledge institutions as a focal point for transdisciplinary research innovation activities with European outreach. So this is what I mentioned in my previous slides. This is where we try to kind of encourage this different role for universities. The climate mission proposed to support the regions in developing pathways towards climate resilience and correspondent innovation agendas. So all of these calls, by the way, specifically mention the universities. Ocean mission, the relation to the young generations with the sea water values, expectations and engagements. Soil mission, to foster soil education across society, bring communities and citizens closer to soil. And finally, the cities mission, which is a collaborative local governance models to accelerate the emblematic transformation of urban environment. What I like to have a closer look at these, maybe in your respective brokerage thematic meetings. Another one, so I mentioned the different instruments, and I said I would probably zoom in European partnerships, not only because our unit deals with both missions and partnerships, but because they are both directional approaches, right? Directing research innovation funding towards a specific goal. This is the overview of the partnership landscapes. It contains both the partnerships from the first strategic plan and the ones that from the second strategic plan in red. And in this overview, you will already kind of see that there are some thematics that are quite obviously related to the mission. So you know where I'm going now. So as I was mentioning, both missions and partnerships set a clear and strategic directionality in funding for research innovation, and they prepare the way towards that partnerships by structuring the ecosystem and of actors, of researchers and innovators, but also by ensuring a more efficient and effective way to tackle these challenges. And in the sense of mission, I think I've lingered quite enough on how they do that. So these two instruments, missions and partnerships, are of course, because of their directionality, interlinked. Mutual benefits of collaborations is where we're trying to have both communities kind of mingle a little bit. Of course, the European Partnership community is very well established because they're now I wouldn't say old instruments, but they've been here for quite a while the missions are still kind of getting started and experimenting and a bit trailblazers, let's say. So they can working together the benefits, because not the missions you working for the partnership or the partnership for the mission, but them working together in developing, testing and demonstrating, and also the scale up of solutions the missions could support the partnerships in fostering the buying and the contribution of the industry, encouraging co-investment of industry in the EU, visibility and awareness raising, of course. If they deal with the same thematics and the same problematics, they can join forces in their visibility and awareness, and also share whatever is happening in each, pooling investment and implementation and activities towards common goal, network expansion, mutual learning, etc. All these with the view to maximizing impact of both missions and partnerships, because at the end of the day, what matters is the objective, not the name of the instruments. So here I made a little overview. Of course, this is not comprehensive, let's say, but having a look at each of the missions and what would be like important partnerships for each of these missions. So I will let you have a closer look on your own for the missions that you're particularly interested in. But of course, they each have a number of partnerships that are related, whether on the thematic, but also on potentially the development of technologies that could be relevant for that mission. And finally, the link with other programs, and I think this is my last slide, so bear with me. The missions are acting as a catalyst for synergies. This is this chicken and egg thing that I mentioned before. They're also creating these new frameworks that are also hope to foster these synergies and complementarities across different EU national and regional programs by pooling these funds beyond research innovation. And here I made a bit of a list of the different funds that have been in particularly interlinked with each of the missions that are specifically named in the assessment of the Europe mission that was done last year. And I encourage you to have a closer look at this assessment in order to have more information. Voilà, I think this is it. Yes, thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a great brokerage event.
Thank you very much for your presentation. We appreciate your expertise and the valuable information you've shared with us. And now I would like to give a stage to another speaker. So please, Lisa von Dijk from Premier Project, and she will bring us closer to topic how to read and how to understand the topic, of course. So Lisa, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Erica. Thank you for inviting us to this brokerage event. And I will present the first out of 3 presentations related to sort of unpacking the cold topic. And I'm here together also with Susanna and Katarzyna, and they all will present part of it. I will talk about the cold topic, reading and understanding the cold topic. Katarzyna will go deeper into finding partners, and Susanna will talk more about the inter and transdisciplinary requirements of the topic. So as I said, I'm Lisa van Dijk. I am part of the Eberswalde University of Sustainable Development coordination team of the Premiere project. And the Premiere project is a 5-year project that aims to strengthen the implementation of the multi-actor approach in Horizon projects and support those preparing proposals. We are a very multi-actor consortium with 15 diverse organizations across Europe and in 12 member states. We started in January 2023, so we're a little bit young still, but definitely ready for action. Our project generates several materials and services for basically for when you're new to the topic, as well as for people who are really experienced in writing proposals and ensuring inclusion of the multi-actor approach in the proposal writing. We have an online Premiere Academy, which includes e-learning courses and multi-actor stimulation games. There's hands-on materials with good practices for effective multi-actor co-creation. We participate and also organize broker events, hence we're here today. And also we will launch a call for seed funding for national co-finance actors. And as I said, we started in 2023, January 23. So we're still very much in the process of making all these materials and services available. So today I'm talking about understanding the call topic. How do you translate and how do you interpret the call text into a proposal? And also really understanding what is required in terms of partnership in your consortium. I'll talk about the understanding of the call topic, call text, and also present you a tool that you can use in your search for your partners. First of all, it is very essential that you carefully read the call topic. You really have to invest time in reading and analyzing what is actually written. And the feedback from the EU Commission says that quite often applications do not meet the basic eligibility rules and key information is missing. And that is really a shame because you spend a lot of time developing a proposal and you can really prevent and work towards success by ensuring that you read the call text very carefully. The call text contains essential information to be taken into account to ensure compliance with the cross-cutting priorities of Horizon Europe and specific EU policy and the desired impact of the funding. There are several things that you have to take into account when you start writing your proposal and translating the call text into your proposal. Of course, you have the call topic, text and structure, you have an impact pathway rationale, and you have the evaluation template. And that all goes into the proposal format. I will not talk about impact pathways, rationale, and the evaluation template today. The focus is on the call topic texture. However, I do want to mention that do go and look at your evaluation template. It is really essential and helps you to focus on what should be in the call and how your call will be evaluated. Yeah, and these are all driving concepts for writing your proposal. Just a reminder, something that is really helpful for you to do a little bit of exploration. I'm not going to talk much about it, but it would be useful for you to look into this. This is the logical flow, the impact pathway rationale, and it will help you in writing your proposal and understanding the structure of the proposal format when you understand this logical flow from your findings, results to outputs to outcome and impact. The proposal and evaluation template have the following sections: an excellent section, impact section, an implementation and work plan section, and a partner information section. And this is really the sort of the structure of the proposal which drives the evaluation framework. I included some keywords to give you some idea of what is in each of these. And some of these I'll pick up in my presentation a bit further. One thing I want to mention is to make sure you spend sufficient time in developing each of these. When I'm an evaluator of some of these proposals as well, what I often see is that the excellent session is written really, really well and has a really high score, but then not enough time is obviously spent in the impact section, and the minimum scoring isn't reached. So do be very aware that you spend enough time because this scoring, especially of excellent impact, is often equal. Understanding the call topic. So the work program structure. The work program structure is consists of these key headings: the mission, the call, and the call topic text. The mission introduces the overarching objectives, and we heard a lot about this in the previous presentation. The call itself introduces the specific area with the set of topics, and then it goes into the what I call nitty-gritties of the call topic text, which describe the particular requirements. It spells out the specific details that you have to translate into your call. The specific conditions, the introduction with the background and general objectives, an expected outcome, a scope, and also an understanding of your additional explanations and requirements. I will talk more about specific conditions, expected outcomes, and the scope in my next slide. Each call topic text has this little grid about the specific conditions for each call. This is an example of one of the Soul Mission grids, and you can distill interesting aspects from this. You can understand the number of funded proposals and the total budget available. In some calls, you have more than one proposal that will be funded. You get an understanding of which type of action the call is, and this is important because it also gives an indication of what is expected you to include in the call. And there's 3 different abbreviations used: RIA, EA, and CSA. And also Rolf already in his presentation mentions the CSA, and also Premiere Project is in CSA. And basically these 3 terms stands for: the first one is research and innovation action, and this is an action that is there to establish new knowledge or explore a new improved technology, a product, service, or solution. And all calls which are RIAs are actually covered for 100% of the project costs. An innovation action is actually something that is there to produce plans or design for a new or improved project, process, or services, and it will fund prototyping, testing, demonstrating, piloting, large-scale product validation, and market replication. And this is funded up to 70% of the total project costs. And then there are CSAs, which are coordination and support actions. And these actions actually improve the cooperation among the EU and associate countries to strengthen the European research area. And this includes all kinds of sort of dissemination, awareness raising, communication and network activities, policy dialogue, mutual learning, and studies. And this is also funded 100%. Yeah. Also, this little grid provides important information, for example, about consortium building, whether it is a multi-actor approach is required in your proposal, and it specifies some administrative aspects. So it's really the start of your exploration, a start of looking at understanding the proposal. Then the next section is the expected outcome. The expected outcome is an important section to explore because it helps you to define the general objectives and your specific objectives. It also highlights the envisaged impact of your projects, and this is important for your section where you write about your impact pathways. And in relation with searching for partners and finding partners, this section also provides information about the consortium partners and indicates which stakeholders need to be involved and reached. And furthermore, it gives guidance for your work plan, your responsibility and budget. Here are some examples of reading or interpreting the expected outcome from the soil emission goals. The first one is setting up 100 living labs and lighthouses. And basically this then invites you to elaborate an appropriate methodology for networking and stakeholders. The second one is about mobilizing national, regional and local actors. And this is about involvement of several practice actors for the local coordination and implementation of project results. And another example I picked out is this one about increasing capacity for participatory, interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary research and innovation, allowing for effective cooperation among research practice and policy. And this is really about involving, for example, a facilitation expert for ongoing process management during the technical work. So those are some examples of outcome, of expected outcome, and the importance of translating these. The second part is then your scope. After you have read through your outcome section, the next session is the scope section. And this highlights what methodology and approaches are suggested to be applied. It gives you an indication about expected project activities that need to be included. And very importantly, it gives you a more or less explicit list of actors. So in each of these proposals, what you'll find is this explicit list. And that then requires you to do some further interpretation, because it's not, it doesn't spell out specific actors. It gives an indication, for example, relevant civil society actors. And then still you need, as in your proposal and as a consortium partner, see who would be a relevant civil society actors in my consortium. Also, apart from this explicit list, there is other information there that you need to understand what is the requirement related to partners. Often there's more information about relevant backgrounds, disciplines and sectors required. And also you need to make sure in your proposal that you give a clear understanding and description of the different capacities and roles of the partner to understand the strength of your consortium and also the relevance of your consortium for your proposal. And also sometimes this section highlights requirements for inclusions of different contexts and geographic coverage. Examples related to scope, for example, is the establishing of living labs for soil health. This would, for example, require the involvement of a producer association with technical advisors. The second one is the use of set of health indicators. This potentially would involve a specialist laboratory. So this is your own interpretation of how, within your context and within the relevance of your call that you're writing, this would result in a certain partner. The monitoring of physical indicators, that potentially you could include a startup with related to smart technology, a demonstration of the viability of the innovation solutions. Here, for example, one option could be to subcontract a business consultant. So I'm not saying these are the right answers. I'm saying these are examples of your interpretation of what kind of partners you would need to fulfill some of these activities listed. So all, it requires you to create an understanding of the required skills and competences of your work plan and the consortium partners needed. And what we are using often when we write a proposal is we use a certain tool to do this, which we call the competence and skill matrix. And this matrix, which I'll show you in my next slide, is basically there to clarify and ensure that the skills and competences that are needed based on the call are included in your project consortium. It provides guidance for the mapping of your partners from from reading the call text. And it helps to keep an overview of the partners involved and raise awareness of potential gaps. And it is 2 steps. The first step is listing all skills and competences required. And the second is scoring the level of experience of each partner to understand which competence and skills there are and whether there's any gaps. So this is the first step, which is the translation and interpretation of the call text into a skills catalog, where you list the skills and competence that you think you will need based on the call for proposals to develop a consortium that will be successful. So here you can see there's a list of skills listed related to the multi-act approach, soft skills, also action-related skills, knowledge and expertise. Sometimes it might be technical. And this is really done at the start of your proposal development process. It is really one of the first steps is when reading the call is to translate this into the skills catalog. And then the second step is then to put your potential consortium partners in this matrix and do a scoring based on their competencies and skills and identify potential gaps. For each skill, score from 0, no experience, to 4, experienced is developed. And this is really based on self-evaluation by the partners and assisted by bilateral talks. So it's all in the open. It's all done together to identify where are the gaps within our consortium and which other partners do we need to invite to make sure we get a successful consortium. And as you can see here in this example, you see 2 skills, competences that are indicated as red, which need to be addressed in going forward with forming the consortium. So all in all, to include, it's really important to have sufficient time for analyzing the call and trying to translate it in how you interpret it in your call for proposal. And identification of partners need is an ongoing process during the proposal phase. It starts from the very beginning, and you have several moments in time during your proposal development where you go back and say, okay, is my consortium, are my partners, do I have the competence and skills to implement this proposal in the most efficient and effective manner? And Katarina will be going deeper into finding these partners in the next presentation.
So thank you very much, Lisa, for your presentation. And you introduced Katarina better than I can do. So now, please, Katarina Walczyk-Matuszik from Premier Project. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Erika. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So in my presentation on behalf of the Premier Project, I will present you how to identify the right partners and how to reach them. So the overview of my speech will be as follows. Firstly, I would like to refer to what Lisa just presented, so what has happened prior to the partner search. Then I will provide you a few pieces of advice related to the partner identifications, strategies to address gaps, and last but not least, conclusions in form of call for action. So the most important aspect of the game is to ensure that the selected topic is in line with your strategy. So this is the one that really suits you, and you have enough resources in terms of time, time and the people who could focus over the work. Then all the documents, so the call documents and guidance, should be read carefully so that you go deep into each of the sentence and try to decipher what is behind. The next steps should be, of course, the development of this competence skills metric from reading the call text to see where they are your needs. And now how to start with the right partner identification. So in this exercise, my first advice is always that you should go to Cordis and check the project which were financed in the previous round of similar calls. So there are calls of similar nature in regard to the form or in regard to the topic. So my advice is that you have a look who is running those calls. So which organizations are involved within the consortium? Who is playing the role of the coordinator? Are these purely research organizations, or the focus is as well put on industry, big companies, small and medium-sized enterprises? Are there, for example, chambers of commerces and NGOs, and what is their role? On Cordis, you can have a look as well on the distribution of the budget share. The portal provides you as well the links to the project websites. And on the website, you can receive a lot more information about the structure of the project, about the milestones, the deliverables, and also like the vision and the idea and partners gathered around. So this is really a first must step to do, like to do this benchmark, to see what is happening as well within the topic. What is also very important is that you have a look who is the best in the field which is covered by the call for proposal, because those organizations can be either your competitors, so most probably they will apply within the call, or they can be your ally. So you can invite them, for example, to be part of the consortium you are building, or maybe more wisely, more strategically, will be to join the other consortium as a partner and follow the vision offered by the other coordinator. Of course, missions are about interdisciplinary and multi-actor approach. So here you should as well make sure that you will involve into the action several types of actors. Susanne, who will follow my presentation, will provide you more details on these topics. And last but not least, please remember that missions, as every call for proposal under Horizon Europe, are implementing some policy priorities. So while reading the call documents, please have a look as well on the expert policy groups, missions, community of practice, and so on, which are mentioned there, and try to find out who are the people involved in those bodies. Because it might be a chance that there is someone you know, there is someone from your organization, or there is someone from the partnering organization. And those people will help you to understand better the policy priorities and will help you as well to address them better and more effectively within the proposal you are preparing. And now about the strategies to address the gaps. So how to build a consortium? First of all, you should start with defining your expertise. And I'm suggesting here the simple tool, which is the SWOT analysis. So it will allow you on the left to specify your strengths, and on the right your weaknesses, as well as the threats, the whole vision might face, and then the opportunities. So having the SWOT analysis there and having the metrics, you can try to, let's say, identify the profiles for potential partners. Of course, the potential partners, their expertise and profiles should be in line as well with the idea you have for the proposal, but as well for the expected outcomes, which are mentioned within the call. And last but not least, there is an issue of trust. And this is a very complex aspect, in particular, if you are going for a new partner with whom you have not collaborated yet. So it's always good to meet the teams. It's always good to have a look in the performance, in the history track, in a similar project of such natures, check your networks to find out as much as possible about the future collaborators. Now, talking about the addressing gaps is how to look for new partners. So a very good approach is that you explore the networks of your partners who are already on board within the core consortium, and you may ask them for the recommendations. You might be introduced as well by them to the new teams joining the consortium afterwards. You can also ask your colleagues from the organization or the colleagues from the thematic area from other organizations who can also provide you with some pieces of advice in regard to the suitable research or innovation team that could join your proposal. Of course, matchmaking and networking events are very important here. they provide you the access to a large network of potential partners, but also they give you the possibility to present, to pitch your idea and the vision. In my opinion, in particular, those events which are organized in person are very effective because they provide you the scene to the presentation on one hand, but also on the other hand, for the networking, which is crucial as well in building the trust. If you are looking for partners from industry, then a good idea would be to attend sectoral events gathering industry, like, for example, EU Industry Days or other events under the clusters, for example, when you have the opportunity to find out the companies looking as well for the research and innovation projects. Then, in regard to the academic partners, one of the strategy could be to find highly cited publications delivered by the research team to the given topic. You can do it easily via Google Scholar. And after that, when you have already the teams finalized, you can contact them and invite them for the collaboration. We did it several times and it worked. There are as well several virtual tools presented already, so please go ahead for them. The one under each of the call offered within the funding and tender opportunities portal, but there are as well many projects which offer that possibility. There are also some social media solutions, in particular those on LinkedIn, like the groups, where you can as well sign into, and you have the access to the community interested in several topics. And last but not least, you should be well prepared to approach new identified partners. So to prepare like a clear vision, clear concept note, and also the clear offer for the new partner. So what are you looking for, and who should be there, and what should be the expertise of the research or innovation team. What is very important as well, these are the gender and geographical balance aspects. As you know, the proposals are scored according to the awarded criteria, which are excellence, impact, and implementation. But very often it is the case that those after the evaluation that the proposals are equally scored, and then the additional criteria for differentiation have to be applied in order to select the winners. So gender is one of them, and also the geographical balance is the other of them. So in regard of the gender, it's more holistic as to the entire, let's say, idea of the proposal. So first of all, the gender aspects should be considered within the methodology, within the research and innovation concept, unless the call text clearly specifies that this does not have to be taken into consideration. But if the sentence is not there, you should always keep the gender aspects within this part of the proposal. Then the roles in the proposal with the gender balance in mind should be, of course, determined. I haven't seen so far a proposal or a funded project with only one gender on board. So make sure that within your consortium and within the roles of the work package leaders, coordinator, there is a division and you have both gender on board well presented. Last but not least, there is this Form A, where you have to point out female versus male researchers. And of course, the ideal situation would be 50-50, but it depends on the research or innovation domain. But in your case, you will all compete under the soil mission. So I believe here you have a similar situation in-house. Then the geographical balance. So this is the other criterion for differentiation. And it is also applied when the proposals will be equally scored according to the awarded criteria. So make sure that your consortium is well balanced in terms of the geographical coverage. You have the representation of the Western Europe, Eastern Europe, Southern Europe, Northern Europe, Central, of course, as well, if possible, of course, depending on the size of the budget and the nature of the call. And last but not least, also including the widening countries. Like Central European countries, for example, provide you as well the possibility to ensure the gender balance. You have the portfolio of support as well available. So the first contact point for you should be the research managers and administrators, which are present in your organizations. This is typical for the especially academic and research organization, but also industry has specialized people in-house who are dealing with research and innovation projects. So consult them. They are very experienced in the pre-award, so preparation of the project proposals, but also post-award, so implementation. You can as well consult them in regard to the identification of partners, because it might be the case that the organization itself has a history track with the partnering organization already, who for you is the new one. So it's always good to ask people and to look for the links. Then there is a wide portfolio of external services available, like the national contact points already mentioned here, who free of charge should consult you at any stage of the application preparation. Then there is Enterprise Europe Network. This network is in particular could be in particular helpful while looking for small and medium-sized enterprises. Then there is a European Institute of Innovation and Technology, EIT, knowledge and innovation communities, which are gathered over some thematic areas like climate, like nanomaterials, and here as well, this is a possibility to find a partner. And in some cases, external consultants could be an option too for this advice. So let's go to the conclusion now. Please remember that the good idea, note first. So start with the idea, start with the vision, not the consortium. The consortium should always follow the concept you have elaborated on your own or in a very like a small core group of the partners you want to collaborate in the future. Very crucial is as well to study the policies mentioned in the destination, mentioned in the introduction, mentioned within the call, because your concept should address those policies and those priorities. So please follow the headlines in the EU research and innovation bubble. Please make sure you have the links to the European associations, to the technology platforms. Read the EU papers so that you see what is currently a trend within those policies. So what the Commission, what the Parliament is looking for in particular in research and innovation, because your idea and also the partners' expertise should be in line with this. And then impact is as important as excellence. So your activities should have an impact and have this in mind while looking for partners who can ensure and deliver the impact which is expected within the core. What could be the further steps? Of course, further tips is that you should build on a solid collaboration. If you have already partners with whom you have prepared and were succeeded in many applications and implemented several proposals, it is always a good possibility to rely on them. Then planning well in advance is very important. As you remember, one of my first slides, my recommendation was to go to Cordis, to have a deeper look in already funded proposals, to looking for the leaders in the field. But for all of this, you need time. You need time as well for the matrix, for the SWOT. So plan well in advance and think strategically. Outreach and impact matter in regard to the partners as well. Ensure that the partners you are picking up will provide you with the proper outreach. If they, for example, have the links to the wide European networks, where your solution, your outputs of the projects can be presented or can be communicated, this is very, very important. Throughout this day, you saw as well many strategies and tools which could be applied as well in finding a new partners. So go ahead for them. They are free of charge, and they are they are there to make you successful. And what is once again very important is that please remember that the impact under Horizon Europe is understood as well in the economic and societal dimension. And there are organizations which are specializing in these areas. So make sure that you include experts who can deliver this on the proposal preparation stage according to the solution, research and innovative solution you are proposing. But then also when you are successful, they can deliver those numbers, those data during the implementation of the project. This is it on my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Katarzyna, for your presentation and also for your tips that you share with our participants. And now I would like to invite Susanne von Münchhausen. Susanne, the stage is yours.
Thank you Thank you very much, Erika. Thanks for the invitation. My presentation is the last one of the 3 premiere presentations, and I will focus on the inter- and transdisciplinary requirements and the multi-actor approach in call topic text. Very few words about the background and key terms, and then I want to dig deeper into the requirements. What does it mean, inter- and transdisciplinary research and multi-actor approach? And in the end, a few words about the practical involvement of actors and stakeholders. So, interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary research and multi-actor ensures the genuine and sufficient involvement of targeted actors and stakeholders, which helps the consortium to reach the objectives of their work. Overcoming the societal challenges can only succeed with the help of innovations. That's what we read in the Green Deal, Farm to Fork, sector-specific strategies, the documents that we've heard and learned about from the missions and so on. According to the EU definition, innovations are not only processes in which actors develop new or transfer existing products or processes, but it also includes the spreading of innovative solutions. Since innovations are never purely technical, they include also a social, an economic, an organizational, or a policy dimension. And for that reason, we've seen these inter- and transdisciplinary requirements in many calls, and they have existed for a long time. This is not something new. Just in graphic again, we've got innovation concepts. And in addition to classic innovation understanding, the EU Commission is increasingly promoting co-innovation to speed up innovation. Since 2012, the interactive innovation approach has been introduced as a promising means, and many call topics have the requirement to apply the multi-actor approach, which builds on co-creation or interactive innovation approach, whatever you want to call it. And in the soil mission, we've got 9 calls, I think, at the moment, and there are more to come. Inter- and transdisciplinary and multi-actor projects refer to the formal composition of the consortium. We've talked about it already: disciplines, types of organizations, expertise, and this is all seen in the partner profiles. Katarzyna mentioned the Form A on the portal. It also goes into the presentation of methods and communication and collaboration. That's the excellent sessions which Lisa highlighted earlier. When it comes to the credible dissemination channels and the exploitation opportunities, we are in the impact session, and we've talked about this already this morning. Responsibilities and contributions by partners are shown in the work plan, and this is in the section implementation, as well as the decision-making process. And this is really crucial. It's not only if you are in the transdisciplinary area or multi-actor area. It is really important to also include practice partners, NGOs, or businesses as responsible organizations in these sections. What is the definition for interdisciplinary requirements? This comes from the funding tender on the portal of the European Commission. Interdisciplinarity means the integration of information, data, techniques, tools, perspectives, concepts, or theories from 2 or more disciplines. Disciplines may be from the natural sciences, from technology, engineering, economics, social sciences, and humanities, and we will hear about the social sciences and humanities in the next presentation also. Proposals may also need to integrate knowledge beyond academic disciplines, for example, from farmers, patient groups, or consumer organizations. And consortia need to bring along the relevant expertise accordingly, and that's what Katarzyna already highlighted very clearly. A proposal must show that interdisciplinary approaches and the use of various knowledge are adopted to the extent that they are appropriate to the objectives of the particular topic. Now, disciplinary research. I built here on two authors from the literature. Disciplinary research frequently deals with real-world topics and generates knowledge to address societal problems and contributes to their solution. And it breaks down the traditional boundaries between knowledge producers and knowledge users. In brief, transdisciplinary work is accepting the local context and uncertainties, is integrating scientific knowledge and practice, is often action-oriented, creating a different form of knowledge. And that's exactly what the multi-actor approach is about, which is a very clearly defined concept within the European research and innovation realm. And since it has been developed since 2012 so substantially, it has now 7 multi-actor clearly defined requirements that you can find in particular defined by DG Agri. Multi-actor proposals need to explain how the objectives targeted, the end user's needs, the challenges, and the opportunities of the project results. It also needs to explain how the project, including composition of the consortium, has a balanced choice of relevant key actors with complementary knowledge. Why? To prepare practice-ready results. And proposals need to show how existing practices and tacit knowledge will be used with a sufficient number of knowledge exchange activities. And also, as mentioned earlier, this multi-actor engagement process needs to be facilitated, and this facilitation needs to be shown, explained in the proposal. So, 5. The project complements existing research and best practices. So, keep in mind the recommendation of Katarzyna, looking at CORDIS and checking the earlier projects. Proposals also need to explain how activities result in practical and ready-to-use knowledge. And proposals need to show how the output feeds into dissemination channels. So now, which practical options do we have for the involvement of actors and stakeholders in the proposal? Actors compared to external stakeholders. That's a definition made by the European Commission. Actors are consortium partners. And around them, why do we not see it? It's quite a problem with the display. So the orange box are the stakeholders, which are sitting around the actors which form part of the project, which are the consortium. And the purple around it is the network they are embedded in, the clusters, the value chains. And if we zoom in into the actors, the core group that builds the project and delivers the work, we've got the full partners in the center of the EU project. We've got around it the contracted partners, advisors, and so on, which are closely embedded in the project. And a little bit further away are advisors like the advisory board, ambassadors, which are consulted from time to time. Actors are different from stakeholders, and that is really important for the evaluators, because when I'm doing evaluation, I firstly check, is actors and stakeholders correctly used as a term? Actors have rights and responsibilities. Actors are full partners in the consortium. They engage from the proposal phase until the end of the project and beyond. Participatory methods are needed to ensure all actors are heard and contribute on equal levels. And being a consortium partner, actors sit in the same boat. They need each other and they support each other. terminology matters, just to keep in mind. Per definition, a multi-actor platform would not exist. It is the consortium. It's all about clarity about the roles and responsibility within the proposal, but also when talking to the new partners or the stakeholders involved becoming participants in the project. Stakeholders should be part of the co-creation process, so they should not be left out. Sometimes, however, they are just delivering data or helping with the testing. Some projects establish stakeholder platforms or other forms of engagement for regular activities with sectors or regions. Stakeholders are targeted at conferences and other external communication events. Stakeholders, however, are recipients of the output, providing input and feedback, but they are not involved in project-related decision-making. What does that mean for the administrative options for the involvement? So above the line, increasing responsibility of actors for the success of the project. That's the indication of the arrow. Very strong responsibility of full partners, work package leaders, task leaders, everybody who's paid directly by the project. Also important, third parties and associated parties, because they are closely related to the full partners. Then we also see subcontractors or subcontracted parties in the description of action in the proposal. They receive money and they are responsible for certain tasks. We have then also the cascade funding, if foreseen in the call. This is a very good mean to involve external people, stakeholders from the outset, becoming actors during the lifetime of the project. And then, as mentioned before, we've got the advisory board, we've got ambassadors, if we come from practice cases, living lab members, and other formal groups that are really building the project, are part of the project. And below the line, we see the arrow going down, which indicates a diminishing financial benefit for stakeholders, which does not mean there is substantial benefit for stakeholders. What could that be? Financial compensation or sponsoring from the project. If it is not financial, then it is, for example, access to exclusive data and information. And even if that is not the case, the networking and the opportunity for further cooperation in the future can be very important for stakeholders. As we know, there are many people out there looking for joining, getting the foot in the door, getting contacts to very competent consortia. And here is an opportunity to approach running projects and say, do you have activities? Can we maybe liaise with you, and so on? And this way, get in contact with the very important developers of the proposals. Material available for healthy partnerships in proposals and projects. So Premiere is here. We're holding presentations as today. We have a serious game under development. We have simulations game, which we offer facilitations, tools, and so on. We call it a basket of material and services. And then we've got a set of how-to guides from the earlier project, the Liaison project, which is also very helpful for those who haven't been involved in the concept so much or want to dig deeper into, for example, good planning, healthy partnerships, and achieving impact. And what is also interesting to use maybe for you is the videos. These are short profiles, stories told from practice, which can be used to trigger the discussion when you start a conference or an internal discussion on how to apply transdisciplinary research, for example. I would like to close my presentation with 2 citations. One is from a professor who has passed away, unfortunately, and the other one is from a farmer. I'm working very closely with him. So, interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary or multi-actor cooperation is a lively process of knowledge creation. That's Henry Buller. And from the practice partner, interactive innovation or truly participatory co-creation looks very similar, the original and the copy. Sometimes they are difficult to distinguish from the outside. But non-academic actors will sense very quickly if the promised approach is taken seriously by the project team. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Susanne. And now our last very important speaker is Kimberly Coulson-Liebe from the Next for Society project. So allow me to warmly welcome her with her presentation that provide us with a topic focused on integrating the social science and humanities in Horizon missions. Kimberly.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Erica. So before I actually speak about how you can go about including researchers from the social sciences and humanities disciplines in your consortia, I'd first just like to say a few words about the project for which I am representing today, and that would be Net for Society. For those of you who are not familiar with this project, Net for Society is like the NCP for Mission project, also an international network of national contact points project. It is an EU project currently funded under Horizon Europe, and it is focused specifically on Cluster 2 in Horizon Europe, which is culture, creativity, and inclusive society. This is the primarily SSH, or I should say social sciences and humanities focused dedicated cluster within the current framework program. Like the other projects that have been mentioned, Net for Society is also a coordination and support action. And one of our primary goals is to support the integration of social sciences and humanities disciplines in projects funded within the entirety of Horizon Europe, but specifically within cluster, or I should say Pillar 2. I'll go into a little bit more when I talk specifically about the issue of SSH integration. But what we do specifically as a project in relation to that is help to raise awareness and increase knowledge about SSH integration, what it is and why it's important. And in doing so, we have a number of project-related activities that are directed toward national contact points in other clusters, as well as in the missions. But we also have activities that we have designed to help support researchers and policymakers to understand how to go about engaging in the inclusion or the integration of social sciences and humanities in EU-funded projects. Another main focus of our project is to make sure that we have a very good quality of consulting that is provided to potential applicants to EU calls. And this is primarily in relation to Cluster 2, but we also do so by engaging in the activities of other network projects, such as this event today, so that we can help to share a little bit of insight on what it is that the social sciences and humanities are and how they can be helpful to your consortia. As already mentioned, just a few words regarding national contact points. In general, all national contact points are essentially there to help provide advice, answer any questions you have in relation to the preparation of your project proposals. We do this specifically in Net for Society in relation to Cluster 2, but of course, you can reach out to the NCP for your particular area if you have questions regarding, for example, the missions. In general, we have NCPs that are nominated and they operate in all member states and associated countries who are engaging in the Horizon Europe program, and all are funded at the national level. They are also all nominated at the national level. And perhaps something else that's good to know is that NCPs are also established in a number of non-EU and non-associated countries. So for those who are taking part in today's brokerage event and you might have questions, but you do not come from one of the EU member states or associated countries, you would still be able to reach out and take part in the services offered by national contact points. A last couple of things I'd like to mention before I turn to my main subject today is that for those of you who might be interested in locating partners coming from the social science and humanities, but aren't really sure where you can find them, I just wanted to let you know that Net for Society also puts on brokerage events, primarily for Cluster 2, but we also provide the service of what we call our Cluster 2 community platform. This is essentially a networking platform provided by the B2 Match tool. It is open year round, essentially, in which you can, it's not only open during the specific brokerage events, but more so it's open for a much longer period to the end of the year. And here you can go to our marketplace section for which you will need to register, but it is free of cost. So that would not be any financial burden on you. And here you can both look at the profiles of those currently who are listed on the platform coming from the social science and humanities, as well as list your own profile of what it is you're looking for example, in terms of partners and what it is that you have to offer and for which call you are interested in finding expertise for. As mentioned, this platform will remain open continuously and you can continuously schedule meetings. Here are some links in case you would like to follow up on anything that I said, you have any questions, are curious more to learn more about what is Net for Society. If you would like to access the community platform, please just follow these links and also feel free to contact me and my colleagues at the coordination team via contact at Net for Society if you have more questions as to what we can potentially do for you. So now I'd like to turn to my main topic of the day, which is the topic of integrating the social sciences and humanities in Horizon Europe. So to begin, I'd just like to define a little bit what is meant by the term SSH integration, because it's actually a very multifaceted concept. First and foremost, it's a technical term that is used by the European Commission to refer to the doing of inter, multi, and transdisciplinary research. It also specifically refers to research consortia, which are made up of researchers coming from the social science and humanities disciplines, as well as from STEM disciplines, or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And lastly, it is a term that refers also to varying thematic specialties and methodological approaches used by researchers coming from these various disciplinary areas. So why do we talk about SSH integration? Well, one of the reasons why we talk about SSH integration is because the Commission has recognized that there is a need for research to be human-focused, human-centric is what they refer to. But more so, the Commission has also recognized that it is important to have better assessments in order to better address the complex nature of the issues which are currently facing European society, what they refer to as these grand societal challenges. One of the reasons also is because the solutions to these problems that need to be created cannot simply be technical in nature. They need to also take into consideration the social components and elements which feed into what is leading to these problems and the way in which, say, technological solutions which are going to be offered can ultimately be received and accepted and taken up by society. And then lastly, and I'm going to come back to this point as I continue to speak, the reason why the Commission wants to see greater involvement of the social sciences and humanities in research and innovation projects is because there needs to be a stronger societal impact and greater citizen engagement acceptance of the solutions that are being produced. So there are actually a number of policy and legal reasons that also lead to the inclusion of the social sciences and humanities, or the desire to have the social sciences and humanities included in primarily projects of a technological nature. when you look at one of the main documents related to the establishment of the current framework program, that would be the Horizon Europe regulation, it clearly states that all R&I activities in the field of social science and humanities should be supported by the project. And the reason why is because it is really tied to the advancement of the specific type of knowledge that these disciplines produce, and how those insights can really be helpful in helping helping Europe essentially to achieve its economic as well as other policy related objectives. But more so, it's also the fact that the Commission sees it as very important that a multidisciplinary approach be taken in that there be a specific involvement of social sciences and humanities in the funded activities that come out of all the thematic clusters, as well as all the other areas of the current framework program. So with this particular slide, I just wanted to show that, as I mentioned, this idea of SSH integration is something that is primarily found in the second pillar of Horizon Europe, but is also one that is expected throughout the entirety of the framework program. Going back to cluster 2, here's where we have all of the thematic clusters as well as all of the missions. It is primarily a collaborative pillar where research that is going to be taking place here is of a collaborative nature. And it's also where you have a number of topics that are already top-down in nature, meaning that they are predefined in terms of the orientations of the research that should be carried out. And therefore, it is very important that you have the involvement of various disciplines in order to develop the necessary sort of solutions that the Commission is hoping to come upon to these difficult and complex issues facing European society. Once again, another important document that really underlines the importance of including the social sciences and humanities and why they're important is the strategic plan. Currently, we're on the second version of the strategic plan, and this is essentially a document which really very clearly lays out the specific research orientations that are to be followed by the research funded in various periods of Horizon Europe. The first strategic plan is coming to an end now. It had a specific framework from 2021 to 2024, but moving forward to the next second half of the current framework program from 2027 to 2025 to 2027, excuse me, you will see that the emphasis on incorporating the social sciences and humanities is something that the Commission wants to see, because they recognize that the social sciences and humanities are going to help to expand the way in which the topics that are going to be researched, how they're going to be approached, how they're going to be understood. And this is really important as a particular way to develop knowledge that we might be overlooking. So another important aspect to take into consideration when it comes to the inclusion of social sciences and humanities disciplines in research projects is because they are essential for developing the so-called societal impact that research is supposed to contribute to. And the reason why is because incorporating social scientific research, I should say social scientific and humanities research perspectives and methods, can be really pivotal in making sure that any sort of technological approaches, innovations, tools that are developed by the hard sciences are really being comprehensively looked at and analyzed for the way in which they will influence society or cultural groups. Here, the Commission really wants to make sure that there's going to be a critical assessment, and so that anything that is going to be put forward as a potential solution really does have a positive fit, that it's really taking into consideration that any approaches, any solutions that are going to be put forward are really taking into consideration what is the nature of the current social or cultural environment or order in which they're going to be appearing. It's really to help move researchers coming specifically from the STEM disciplines to not just take things for granted because they may not be able to see certain things because that is not something that is natural for them. They're not necessarily going to be in a position to think about user needs because that is not something that is commonplace for the sort of research that they do. And then lastly, this is really including social sciences and humanities is important because they want to make sure that anything that is going to be produced is going to be adequately designed to adapt to and meet social needs and values. So it's really important that the social science and humanities be there, present in your consortia, because they can really help you to understand and adapt to conditions that are going to be favorable to various needs of communities, for example, and users. And then maybe another important point to bring up in relation to impact, and it's something that I've already touched upon a little bit, is the idea that the social science and humanities, when they are incorporated into research that may be initially of just a technological nature, it's that by bringing these two forces together, these various disciplinary perspectives, it can really help to generate completely new types of knowledge. This is really kind of bringing in this notion of new epistemologies. And the reason why is because, as I mentioned, the social science and humanities could help to introduce questions on maybe established modes of doing things, way of thinking, approaches that hadn't really been questioned before. And when you think about the fact that Horizon Europe is really asking for ambitious, excellent projects, then it can be really helpful to have someone there to make you think a little bit differently than you would. And so the sort of main point to drive home here is that by including these different perspectives, specifically those coming from the social science and humanities, it's about really the content of the nature itself. The social science and humanities are not just an add-on, they're actually an essential element of the research that's going to be done. So now that I've talked a little bit about what SSH integration is, I'd also just quite like to quickly mention what it's not. And one of the reasons why is because today we've already had a number of concepts. We've had the multi-actor approach, we've heard transdisciplinarity, co-creation, all of these things. But the thing is, none of those are the same as SSH integration. I'm not going to mention what the multi-actor approach is. I've listed it here, but we've already had a really good introduction explanation of it from the Premier project. But another thing to mention is, for example, when you're going to look at your mission topics, you're probably going to come across the phrase stakeholder engagement quite a bit. As you can see here, that is not the same as SSH integration. As I mentioned, SSH integration is really a way of doing research in which you have the inclusion of researchers specifically from social scientific and humanities disciplines. But when we talk about stakeholder engagement, we're talking about more so processes that are really being mobilized to help involve and get actors of different types to interact, exchange ideas with each other. When you come across, for example, the phrase communication, and more specifically, when you're thinking about putting together your proposals and you're thinking about the nature of the activities related to communication, this is not SSH integration. Please do not put SSH researchers in these roles because, as I've written here, you could have, for example, a partner in your consortia coming from a background of communications or media studies. These are people who are specialized and have an expertise in analyzing communication-related behaviors and patterns. They are not the right person to include to have write the newsletter for the project. The same with gender dimensions. We just heard that in one of the previous presentations. This is research that is related more so to the focus of the research that's going to be done, and that there need to be a certain sensitivity to the research that's taking various gender components into consideration, such as, for example, there might need to be more research on women when it comes to heart attacks because women display different symptoms than men, but that is not the same as SSH integration. And then the last point I'd like to make here concerns citizen science. This is yet another approach which the Commission very often calls for, especially in relation to topics that are opened under mission calls. But here, this is more so referring to the involvement of regular people who have a strong interest in helping scientists collect data and contribute to a research project, but they do not have specific certifications or specialized backgrounds. So that's one thing that's also a little bit different from SSH integration. With this slide, I just wanted to include some information to give you an idea of when I talk about SSH disciplines, well, what are those? Here you can see that it's a rather broad mix of disciplines that cover things such as political science or geography, and that could be categorized under social and behavioral sciences, to journalism information, or law, and then under humanities and arts, which is also often put together, you see that we could be talking about anything from religion and theology to linguistics. This particular list is one that you can find in the current Horizon Europe program guide, and that gives you a good indication of what the Commission is talking about when they refer to SSH disciplines. Okay, so now to sum up, I'd like to quickly say a few things about what does SSH research in EU missions look like specifically. So as we've already heard, the EU missions are a specific type of policy instrument, or more so a framework that the EU Commission has developed for the current framework program. One thing that we hadn't really heard from too much of before is the fact that all missions are really rooted in research and innovation. And that's because the Commission does see research and innovation as very essential to helping lead to these sort of societal transformations and social impact that they want the missions to lead to. As we know, missions, they have a very clear social relevance. They're asking for consortia of many different actors, and this also includes the various academic disciplines. And in many cases, it will require the specific involvement of actors coming from the social sciences and humanities. This slide is also just to give you another overview of what when we talk about SSH research, specifically how that might be appearing in the various work programs published under Horizon Europe. This also includes the work programs for the missions. I'm not going to go through every single one, but you can just get a sense here of what might be asked for. Moving forward, more specifically, what you will also often see in relation to topics and aspects that are really asking for expertise from the social science and humanities would be topics or aspects such as the fact that mission projects are going to need to look at the various impacts that research and innovation measures have on societies. There are topics, for example, I believe the soil mission is going to ask a lot about education systems. You'll also see a lot that concerns governance and legal aspects. So these are all things that are clear signs that you're going to need to take into consideration, including expertise from the social science and humanities in your consortia. So I just wanted to give a very quick example. We already had a really good explanation about how you should go about reading the topics that you encounter. But when it comes to specific SSH aspects, there is one example that I'd like to give, which is the current Horizon topic, Ocean 0105, Our Blue Future. And in many cases, and this is the case not only for the EU missions, but for all topics that are what are known as SSH flagged in Horizon Europe, the Commission will also often use a standardized sentence, such as the one here, in which it specifically asks projects to take into consideration contributions of the social science and humanities. etc. And so that gives you an idea that this is a topic that for which you need to have such actors in your consortia. But that's a bit broad and it's not always really clear to understand. More so, you might find that it's easier to understand the need for including these particular types of actors because you see wording such as enable the participatory co-design of alternative futures. This can mean that what this particular project needs to do is make sure that you have those certain partners in the project who can help to really get at understanding what are the specific social needs and values associated with the various people in certain regions where, say, a lighthouse needs to be established or if a living lab needs to be established. This also goes for understanding business plans and trying to understand, larger business as usual scenarios, as I mentioned, where certain things might be taken for granted. How can they be furthered? That might mean really looking at maybe ethical concerns that people will have in certain regions in relation to the implementation of the Green Deal. There you also need policy experts. So this might mean that you have political scientists involved. So I'm not going to really talk about this slide, but this is just, again, a couple of practical tips about what you should take into consideration when it comes to writing your proposals and how you need to be thinking about including these SSH actors, these disciplines into your proposals. It just as a follow-up, what was already said by the Premier project. This is also just a slide to help you know where you can try and find out whether or not your project is, in fact, a project that requires the requirement, or I should say the contributions of the social sciences and humanities. This is a link to the Fundings and Tender portal. And if you were to go here and if you click on these various areas and you kind of pull up these keywords in relation to your particular topic, then that will help you find them. But you can also find topics that require SSH by doing this as well. This is a document that is produced by Net for Society. It's known as the SSH Opportunities document, and it's very helpful. It is something that we publish throughout the entire runtime of our project. The next version is expected very soon in June. You can look here and also in relation to missions topics, if you wanted to kind of get a little bit more insight as to whether or not this topic is really asking for social science and humanities, then you can find keywords related to that particular topic. The last one I wanted to mention is a toolkit that was produced by the Shape ID project. This was a Horizon 2020 project, and this is also giving you some guidance on how to go about putting together interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary consortia and how to do research of this nature. So that's my last slide, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And now, dear participants, before you join your bilateral meetings, I would like to mention the incredible opportunities these meetings present. Therefore, I strongly encourage you to book additional meetings and explore the profiles of others participants. So take the advantage to contact with as many relevant contacts as possible. You can continue booking bilateral meetings until the end of the event. It's tomorrow till 7 p.m. Each meeting is scheduled to last 20 minutes, so that provides enough time for your discussion. So please check your pending meetings request and confirm there promptly. And now it's time to say goodbye. So I would like to warmly thanks to all our speakers for their presentation. Thanks my colleagues from NCP Formation Project for cooperation. And you, dear participant, I wish the best in your upcoming bilateral meetings. Thank you a lot, all of you, and goodbye.